Arsenal beat Millwall 4-1 in a behind closed doors friendly. And I don't know about you, but I think we're winning the league. Welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host, and you can follow me on Twitter at @ItchJessino. We just beat Millwall. Earlier today we beat Millwall. I don't think a lot of us actually knew that the friendly was taking place, but we beat them 4-1 in the behind closed doors friendly, and I'm feeling good. I think we're going to win the league. I mean, based on that performance alone, I think you can kind of make that conclusion that, I mean, Manchester City, watch out. Manchester United, watch out. Arsenal's coming. Sambi's here. Tavares is here. Balogun's here. Cedric is here. Willian is here. We're here to win the league. Sulz, do you agree? No?
I mean, if you're in the championship, maybe, but no. It was a solid performance. Obviously, we'll get into it, but no, I liked what I saw.
Yeah,
winning the league, or
maybe not.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Worse things have happened.
Yeah, for sure. You guys, obviously, I'm just joking. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't impressed by some of the performances that I saw. I always take into account the opposition and the fact that, our team is going to be playing against better people. But what I can say is that I like that I'm seeing the people that finished last season strongly, starting off preseason strongly as well. And I think there's also some people that maybe need to catch up a little bit. Maybe somebody like an Aubameyang. I still think he needs to catch up just a little bit. He seems a little bit off, but at the same time, he's getting into good positions, and we just have to hope and pray that he gets his shooting boots on and starts scoring goals. But let's just go, from the first half. And I mean, I think you said, we were in our little group chat about the passing patterns and stuff like that. So what did you see in that first half that kind of gave you like a positive feeling about, the team and the direction in which we're going?
I think one of the things that we complained about is the fact that players couldn't express themselves and they felt very chained. But it felt like the players were moving into positions and occupying, and it was a lot more fluid. There wasn't a stagnant formation. It wasn't like, Smith Rowe had to hold a 10 position. It was very sort of what City do. And I know people hate this, or he's copying Pep, but the thing is, Italy done it in the Euros to help them. It's this sort of thing where everyone bombs forward bar a centre-back, and it was very sort of controlling. We were suffocating them in their own half, and every time someone made a pass, it wasn't, they held the ball for certain periods of time. It was very snappy. It was very quick. It was very direct. There wasn't a lot of passing back and, between the two centre-backs and then to the wing-backs and then back to the centre-back. It was very much so, if the opportunity is there, the ball's going forward every single time. And the patterns of play that I was talking about is like when you look at Smith Rowe, Pepe, Aubameyang, there was very sort of good triangles, just quick triangles that just kept going forward. And I was really impressed the way we just. I know it's Millwall, and people are going to say, well, the opposition's weak, anyone can do that. But you've also, it's pre-season. That is what I want to see, and it was just the way they were playing with a swagger, which was what we've not seen them do last season. There was periods of last season where we've seen that, where they played with this arrogance and this cockiness, and I'm not saying it's not always a good thing, but to have it there and to know that the mentality of those players is like that, it's a good sign. And I was really, really impressed. Like, and I said this about Partey, like he seemed to be holding back last season, but he was one of those players. Every time he touched the ball, he had that spring back in his step. And I think he was playing with a slight injury, but not too severe that it was keeping him out of the team. But now we can see the Partey we signed and what we want to see and how good he was. Even El Neni, to be honest, I know a lot of people are going to hate this, but I thought the role that we're trying to play with that Partey partner, where they're going to play in the left channels, he done that really well every time. And this is, I know it's going to sound like, it's going to take a negative spin, but when Jacques is there, because he's not mobile, and people think, why is it just because of his mobility that you're keeping him out of the team? But it's his mobility that puts him in situations that causes a lot of problems. That's the problem with it. And El Neni and Lokonga, to be fair, they've got this sort of, they can turn the ball a lot quicker, and they can do it with a split second without, being pressured. And I just thought overall this is what I seen last season, and why I said it in the group chat many times. I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing, because if you truly deep what Arteta wanted to do last season, it was just the way he came in, obviously, just didn't help. No preseason. I know people are going to all these excuses, but they're not excuses. He never had an opportunity to experiment. He never had an opportunity to be able to play certain players to see how they react. We were playing like a 4-4-2 into a 4-3-3 into a 4-2-3-1, and it was just and these are the signs of a top level team where the transition's changing and the formation isn't stagnant. Aubameyang comes in closer with Nketiah, or he goes out wide if needed. And these are the small things that I'm looking for to see, okay, what's the pattern of play? What are the systems? And then you look at, okay, who are we targeted and what can they do to improve this? Because ultimately, I don't think this is the final 11. And that's the mindset I'm going in with. And I just think the things we complained about, where we were slow, we were sort of negative, well, we can call it negative football, and we're recycling the ball a lot. A lot of that seems to, we don't know yet. When we play Chelsea and Spurs, this will come to fruition a lot more, and we'll understand it a bit better, because the level of opposition is what we'll be playing every week. So, but I do think there's a lot of positives to take, and they look fit. That's the ultimate thing. They look a lot fitter than they did in the first two games.
Yeah, the fitness definitely looked better. And one of the things that I think was really missing in the beginning of last season was the pressing. I thought, I think it may have had something to do with the people that we had in our front line. We had Lacazette, who I think grew into the season. And then you have somebody like Willian, who for some reason I feel like likes to conserve his energy. You have 3 30-year-olds in your front line. They're going to be trying to conserve energy, so as the season went on, we saw a lot more pressing, but still not to the level that I think is required in the Premier League to really put teams under pressure. Today, you saw that with the addition of certain players, and then players coming in fit, we were able to really put Millwall, we know they're not that good, but under a lot of pressure. And I think that might be something that we see right off rip. I would hope that when we play against Brentford, we put them under extreme pressure. So that's one thing that I really took away from this game, as well as the passing patterns. Like you said, they just look smoother. And, if you practice them over and over and over again, they start to become like second nature. You can see it's kind of becoming that also with the introduction of players that can actually do the job, so I would say, like, if I had to pick out just a couple of players that I thought looked extremely sharp, I would say Thomas was definitely one of them. Seeing him, he just looked special out there, just very smooth. The Thomas Partey that we want to see, completely unfazed. He was just so unbothered, but so sharp at the same time. I thought Chambers, very, very sharp. I saw there was an article that came out earlier today about Cedric coming into preseason sharp. And I was like, if he's sharp, then Callum Chambers is, is super sharp. Like,
Yeah.
because Cedric doesn't look sharp to me, but Chambers looks very sharp. And one thing that Chambers does have is a good cross. We saw that in this game. I think that was for Lacazette's goal, right?
Yeah.
That he got the cross in. So if anything, he's good in the final third. So if Chambers was to start against Brentford, which I think it should be him over Cedric, I wouldn't be like devastated. I think Pepe looks really good. He's starting this season like he ended the last one. I think that's really important. ESR looked good as well. So again, it's mostly the players that ended well are starting off well, and Tierney as well. So yeah, but we also got an opportunity to see Sambi Lakanga. So what did you think of him and what you envision him to be? Is that what you saw on the pitch today?
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't know a lot about him coming in. I know the FM aspect of him. Obviously, everyone signs him. He's the wonder kid of this series of the game. But he looked really good. I think in terms of when people are like, "Oh, he's gonna come in for Partey," I actually think he's gonna be a Partey partner, and we might be seeing him a lot more than we probably initially thought. Especially when you look at the way he came in and integrated into that sort of position where he came a lot deeper and he played into the left channel. So it seems to be whoever's going to accompany Partey in that midfield is going to have to do, and whoever plays in that sort of left back or left wing back is going to be the one bombing forward. And it's like what Liverpool do with Henderson and Trent. Henderson comes into the right channel and then Trent bombs forward. So his lack of coming back isn't affected. And I'm not saying Tierney isn't good to do that, but it just gives Tierney the reassurance that he can stay up top a bit longer if he needs to press up higher. And he knows that there's going to be someone covering his position. And Lokonga done that brilliantly. I think from deep, he passed it to Partey, made a lot of moves happen. I think it was that Lokonga passed it to Thomas, and then Thomas passed it to Lacazette. Lacazette passed it to Willian, and then through to Balogun for the final goal. But it was just the whole passage of play just came from Lokonga, and the way his ability to find these forward passes in tight spaces. And the other person I was really impressed with was Nuno Tavares as well. I think he's got a huge aggression. Like, he will do whatever it takes to win that ball. He's not afraid to get into a tussle. And the one thing that people need to understand is Championship sides, especially Millwall, are aggressive. Like they want to fight. They don't look to play football, hence why they don't look to get promoted every year, because the way they play football is very limited. And if you can get past the aggression, you'll be pretty much in the favourites to win the game. And as long as you do your plan A. And that's the way I've seen it. And I think with Lokonga, he's got a bright future, looks sharp. His movement was very smooth. He seems to have this knack of like agility. And as I know a lot of people said, how will he transition from the sort of Belgium league into a tougher league in terms of... I think he'll do fine, because I saw his movement. I saw a lot of... And the one thing, the Premier League, as long as you have a few traits as a midfielder, you might be okay. And that's a good passing range. It's in the modern game anyway, the agility in terms of just being able to kind of move around with the ball freely and not being stiff, or not being like the dribbling aspect of things and getting out of tight situations. That seems to be in his locker as well. And that's why I'll be confident if he gets a start against the likes of Brentford or like the lower oppositions, because I feel like he is a press-resistant player. In the words of George, over the 5 yards, he seems good, and he seems to have a good, it's like Thomas Partey. He's got a good spring to a step, and that's what we want to see. It's just, look, he had a cameo appearance. You'll more than likely get minutes against Chelsea, just because obviously the players returning from the Euros will be back for the Chelsea game, and we'll see the likes of Leno coming back, Granit Xhaka coming back, and Saka coming back. So we'll see obviously how they fare in those games, and whether Lokonga starts in that. I do want to see him start.
So wait, based on this performance and everything we know, against Brentford, are you starting Lokonga over El Neni if we don't have a new midfielder?
The only reason I would do it is because I want to see him play, because I do think we'll be relying on him a lot more than people think. And I like El Neni. I thought he's good, but when it comes to it, over a season, he's just not got the quality to get us over the line. Whereas we don't know anything about Lokonga yet. We don't know how good he can be. So Chelsea would be a good game to give him because he's had his little like cameo performance. So now give him the full because he'd have another week under his belt of training as an Arsenal player. Obviously, he's had 1 week already before this game, and then he'll have another week under his belt. And just start him, see what happens, because it's a friendly. Like it doesn't really matter if we get pammed.
I don't even know how I feel. Like I think if I saw him start, I wouldn't be like that scared because even like Gabriel, he started off against Fulham last season, very first game, and did well. So if you're playing with a bunch of other really good players, they tend to, if you do make mistakes, they're able to carry you a little bit. So if he's standing next to Thomas, he'll probably be okay. But then literally going into the Chelsea game, I need somebody else there. Literally, I need somebody else there. Like, you know what I mean? So, but what about Laka versus Abba, against Brentford? Lacazette looks really sharp. He's looking good, but we all know that he can have his moments. Aubameyang is getting into good positions, but I still think his link-up play is quite weak, so against Brentford, would you start Lacazette or Aubameyang, or would you do that thing that I hate, which is play Lacazette through the middle and Aubameyang off the left? I mean, because if you think about it, that's a good way to keep Willian off the pitch, because the reality is Saka's not going to be there for the first game. So you have Pepe, ESR, Lacazette, and Aubameyang and Willian if Martinelli's not there. I mean, we're literally choosing between like Aubameyang off the left or Willian off the left.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's really because the problem is Aubameyang is doing everything, but that sort of final product, like sort of whether it's the right pass or whether it's the right shot, his finishing, I don't know what's happened to it because there was some shots and I was like, oh my God, Aubameyang, what are you? Like, did you and Partey swap positions there? Like, what's happened here? Like, did you just say, you know what, you trained to shoot and I'll just forget about it now? And I really don't understand what's happening because it's not filling anyone with confidence that he's going to be back to himself. And I know people are going to say, oh, it's preseason, when the season starts, he'll be back. But it's like, I don't see it. I don't see a single sign of Aubameyang firing this season at the moment. Like, yes, the movement's good. Yes, he's getting into the right positions, but there's loads of players who can do that. Saka gets into the right position, but you're not going to expect 30 goals from him in a season. So that's my worry, is whether he can be back in time or whether he can reignite that sort of strikers. And he just doesn't seem ruthless. He doesn't seem to have the aggression that's required. It's like if he wins the ball, cool. If he doesn't get to it, yeah, whatever, it is what it is. And that's the vibe I'm getting from him. And it's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I want to see Lacazette. And then play ESR there or something. I don't know. Just, yeah. If it means Willian or Aubameyang, of course I'm going to go with Aubameyang. But it's not really. I hate to say it, but I'm not like filled with hope and confidence with Aubameyang at the moment.
Come to the dark side where we're starting to worry about Aubameyang just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. But it's not like it's not like I'm worried that he's gonna get like 0 goals. I just have this feeling that we're looking at a 15 goal this season max Aubameyang. And if that's the case, and you're going to get 15 goals from Lacazette because that's his threshold as well, then I'd rather have Lacazette because his build-up play is better. And he just kind of, if Aubameyang is not going to score more than Lacazette, you might as well just play Lacazette. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's essentially why you're playing Aubameyang anyway. I mean, it's just bad, and I can see that's probably why the club might be interested in bringing in a striker, because make no mistake about it, like, the club wants to get top 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want there to be anything that we look at the back end of next season and say, you know what, we probably could have gotten top 4 if we had, so that's probably why they're looking at a striker. They're looking to bring in another number 10 just in case something happens to ESR. They're making sure they get another midfielder. They're making sure they got the right-sided center back instead of relying on Saliba or relying on Rob Holding. So I get it, But at the same time, like if Lacazette doesn't leave, then I think Lacazette needs to start against Brentford, because again, like you said, I haven't seen anything from Aubameyang that says, yeah, he's going to be doing it. And his link up play is just, it is so frustrating, but that's just not his bag. So it is what it is. We'll kind of see, what happens with that. But let's pivot a little bit to the defense. They really didn't have a lot to do, but again, I mean, no clean sheet. And I think the goal from Millwall came off of some dodgy defending off of a free kick, not immediately off of the set piece, but the afters of it. Are you starting to worry that we're no longer good on defending set pieces? We were good last season. Are we going to add that to something that we just become horrible at in like a couple of months? I mean, it has to have something to do with the new set piece coach, in my opinion. What do you think? Or maybe they just don't care because it's preseason. I don't know.
I can't say they don't care, because you still need to do your job. Because it's not a coincidence that now, every single goal has contributed from a set piece. Or soon after a set piece anyway. Obviously against the Rangers, 2 came off literally a direct set piece, and it is becoming a bit of a concern, because it's like, well, White's not going to come in and improve that, because he's not really the tallest of players. So we're clearly not really identifying that as a. I don't know whether it's this new set piece coach is still not like had enough time maybe to really. But I guess one thing I will say, it's a good thing that we're seeing it now, rather than going to the season and then all we're doing is conceding set pieces. So I guess it's a good sign. It's a good thing it is happening now, and hopefully we can not do the Arsenal and actually fix the issue now, as we know what it is. It's a worry, because I'm just seeing, teams come in, just win free kicks, and especially when you think about centre backs in the Premier League, they're all like 6 foot something anyway. So, and if we're losing headers to Jota and Sterling, what hope do we really have that we're going to win headers against 6'3", centre back? So it's annoying, because defensively, in terms of structure, in terms of open play, we've been perfectly fine. I've had no real worries. We've shown the right amount of aggression. We've been able to play this sort of high line and still be fine and not be like wobbly. But as soon as a set piece comes, I'm like, oh yeah, because literally all game I was like, because I didn't know what minutes everyone scored, so I was like, oh, is this where the goal's coming? Oh, is this where the goal's coming? Because I knew it would be off a set piece. I just didn't have any hope they would be able to defend them. Oh, you're on mute, I think.
I am, sorry. Yeah. Dublin Gooner is saying, like, right now is Pepe our best finisher? And I don't really know. I think maybe you can make a case for him being our best finisher, but I also we'll see what happens when the season starts. Aubameyang could start the season and start off good. We don't really know. It's still preseason. It's hard to make conclusions about anything, Sorry, my dog is like losing her whole mind, her whole entire mind. I don't get it, but there's about 170 of you guys watching right now, and I have a feeling that the likes are not reflecting that at the moment. So maybe you want to get in there and smash the likes, tap the likes, do whatever, but just make sure those likes are up. But yeah, I think that's enough for the game. I think we can't really make a lot of conclusions off of it, because we've won one, lost one, and tied one. Different types of opposition, but I'm just glad that at least we won the game and the team looked confident. You know what I mean? So, and before we get off of this, Willock wasn't there, and Kolasinac wasn't dressed. Do you think that has anything to do with them maybe having moves lined up, or maybe Willock just was one of the ones that may have contracted COVID? What do you think?
With the Willock one, I don't know, because the club haven't come out and said anything. Everything seems to be, yes, he'll be staying. But I've heard murmurs that Newcastle may have reignited their interest in him and are willing to go to £20 million, or maybe even more, dependent. So we don't know. That the Willock one is a very hard one to judge, because the club. The thing is, usually you get like a sign or a hint that maybe the player's done for, like they're getting sold. But Kolasinac, I think I don't think the club, like, why would they buy a backup left back if there was no intention of moving Kolasinac on? So I think he's one of those where Arteta's just like, yeah, I don't really want to give you minutes. I don't care about this window shopping or advertising you as a player and trying to get value, because I think they know they're going to lose money regardless. Well, they're not really losing anything because he came in on a free, but the wages side of things, they're not bothered. They'll be like, yeah, we'd be willing to get rid of you if the right deal comes into place. And yeah, so I think with the Kolasinac one, it's more he's going. That's why we're not giving him time. And obviously Nuno Tavares and Tierney are both ready with no signs of an injury appearing or fatigue or anything like that. So they're willing to just risk the two playing a half each, basically. And that's what we're gonna see moving forward. They're the two. I don't think Kolasinac gonna play a part in the season if he's here. And then so yeah, with the Willock one, I don't know. I think we'll find out in the coming days what's happening with him.
Yeah, for sure. This is a really, really good question from Timothy. He says, looks like the Thomas's partner plays left back, left center back when in possession. Who suits that model better, Neves or Basuma?
Now, Basuma, 100%.
I think I do agree with that Basuma fits that better. But my question to everybody would be, do we think that Arteta is playing in a way that suits the players that he has at the moment? Or is he's trying to change the system and make people play the way that he wants to play? The reason why I say that is because when you look at the right backs that we've been linked with, they're not necessarily all inverted. And we were all really sure that because Callum Chambers was playing inverted, that was the type of right back that he wanted. Now we're looking at, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name right now? Dest and Aaron's, they're quite different. So for me, it's like, maybe that's what suits who we have now at the moment, and if we get somebody different, like a Neves, maybe they don't drop in. Does that make sense? So I would say it depends on, I would want to see more of who comes in and then see if it stays like that. But based on your question, it's definitely Basuma, because Neves is getting bypassed in the left back position. I don't think he can do it, but yeah, Basuma fits it better. And I think I still am Basuma in. I don't think it's happening. To be honest, you guys, I don't see enough concrete links, but Basuma in, very concretely Basuma in. Neves, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? You know what it is, isn't it? Somebody was saying, I think it was Ornstein was saying that we'll see some movement on Ruben Neves this coming week. And he didn't say for sure, but it could be in regards to Arsenal or regards to Manchester United. And it feels like it's more us because Xhaka's on his way out. I assume that because he's back in London, it's because he's packing his shit up to go to Rome, so him leaving and us being able to get the money for him, and the Locatelli thing, it's not happening, I think would mean that Neves would be coming in soon. I also watched one of Wolves' practices or whatever, their little trainings. Neves was not there. Matinho was there. So it's not about the Euros. He's literally not there. So I would not be surprised, you guys, if Neves ended up being an Arsenal player. So, and that being said, if it is Neves, do you really see him dropping into left back? Like, do you really see it? What's the face, Sulz?
He just reminds me of a Xhaka, really, in terms of movement. He's not really agile. He doesn't have the sort of spring in his step that we clearly need. I'm not saying which one's better, but it's just, for me, it's like Basuma just fits the profile a lot more than a Neves in the way we want to play, with this sort of mobility in midfield and sort of having this free-flowing fluid formation that seems to be like what we played today. Even against Rangers, we were doing this. And Neves, for me, just restricts that a lot. So I don't know. Maybe the club are seeing something. Maybe there's Arteta's doing what he needs to do to get by. I don't know. Obviously, time will tell on that. But the other player that we're also linked to, apparently, is Di Lorenzo from Napoli, and obviously won the Euros with Italy as a right-back potential if Dest and Aaron's, and now it's Di Lorenzo apparently as well. So
Di Lorenzo what?
Di Lorenzo apparently is linked to Arsenal as well now, because his valuation's about 20 million, so it comes into the price tag of what we're willing to pay. So it's a bit of a all over the place at the moment.
I'm not feeling that. Just go get Max Aarons and just call it a day. Like literally, just get Max Aarons and call it a day. Like I just can't. But Yo-Yo says Neves dropped into defense for Wolves, you know, so it is what it is. We all know that we're going to be playing more positional play, possession. So maybe the positional aspects of the way that we play will make it so that he doesn't get exposed, because we're not really a counterattacking team. We don't like the game to be really open. We like, you know, distances to be quite short. So I don't necessarily see him like in no man's land. But again, I still just prefer Basuma. So really, if your name is not Basuma, I'll probably find a reason to say you're not very good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but you guys just, you know, we just also want to just catch up on some of the news. So apparently Ben White has landed in London. We're hearing that his medical is either happening today or tomorrow. It'll be finalized a lot earlier than what was originally reported, which was his medical would happen on Wednesday. So that's good. You know, so whatever game we have next, he may be available for that, you know, or at least to get on the bench or to get just a couple of minutes, which is good, because a lot of people are saying like, yeah, Tavares and Lokanga are great, but they're two players that may not get a lot of minutes. I would say that, you know, backups or rotational options are just as important, because we know at Arsenal, the worst always happens, right? But this is somebody who's stepped straight into the team and starts right away, you know, so I would say it's exciting, you know, to see a first team player potentially coming in for the next game that we play, whenever that is, because, you know, they're going to try to make up, you know, the game for that didn't get played in Orlando. So I don't know. I think this is exciting. It just is for me. I like new signings, you guys. It's fun, you know. So Benny Blanco, are you excited, Sul?
I've been excited before the window started. I said he's one of the players I want to see come in. And
and I said, is he better than Rob Holding?
So yeah, we know what I'm excited. Obviously, these sort of reasons, I wouldn't even call them rumors, but the reason why people think he has come to London Colony and why the medical may be happening is because he's got the same driver that drives all our targets around in the same car. So people are put 2 and 2 together. I don't really know like whether he definitely is going to be doing it in the next few days or not, but hopefully he does. That way he'll get a week under his belt to train. And obviously due to the fact that he doesn't have to isolate due to him just being in England generally, and even in the Euros, the only time they travelled was to play Germany, and I think that was to Rome. So the isolation periods are fine, and so there's not a lot of COVID restrictions stopping him from coming in and starting earlier, and that's a positive really. And I think he's a signing I can't wait to see. He's genuinely just excites me. I think, especially with Gabriel, how rash he can be and how much he loves to push forward. Ben White's just one of those sweepers. He loves to clean and mop everything up. And even when you see him, his slide tackles are on point, and he loves to sit back a bit. And then he reminds me of like a Maguire in terms of how he plays the ball out. He's willing to run with it and make a good pass. And then he's got those cross-diagonal passes that we've seen David Luiz do a lot this season. And I'm excited. That's all I can say. I don't want to overhype the player, because then if he disappoints, then it's a bit of a, oh shit, you know, pie in my face kind of thing. But I'm excited.
You guys, I see that there's people that want to be a moderator. I'm going to have more mods in the chat. So just let me know if you want to be one. Please, some Arsenal fans want to be mods. Like right now, my moderators are all Chelsea fans. And that's nuts. Like, you know what I mean? So I see Sir Mason Mount, you're here most of the time. So I'll probably mod you. And then we'll see a couple more, see what we can do about that. So thanks, guys. But I think he'll be here soon. I love all the content that comes out, you guys. I just can't get enough. I love the interview, the first practice, all that. I eat that shit up. Like, I am the person that they're making that documentary for, because I love it. I can't get enough. So we'll see. I think he'll be announced next week. And then Ramsdale. So basically the new reports are coming out. Really, Souls? Let me get it out first. So the new reports that have just come out are basically that Ramsdale. So we've had a couple of offers knocked back, and then now we're going to offer 18 plus 7. So 18 million like guaranteed plus 7 in add-ons. I don't know if that'll get it done or not. Quite frankly, we're already paying a lot for a backup goalkeeper. My only issue with the Ramsdale thing at the moment is the price. Like, I'm not feeling the price, but I get it. He's already had one big move. So Sheffield was never going to sell him for less than what they paid for him. I would say that anybody that is kind of parroting the same Aaron Ramsdale is like the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen, I would just say maybe pump the brakes just a little bit. Latte Firm did a really good breakdown on him where they had an actual expert, a goalkeeping expert, talk about Aaron Ramsdale. And of course, he's not the finished product, but again, he's 23 years old. Goalkeepers don't hit their peak until they're about 28. I would say maybe go back and see where Neuer, maybe not Neuer, but let's say some of the like Allison or Ederson, where they were at when they were 23. Were they the finished product? Were they the starting goalkeeper? This is somebody who at 23 is a number one goalkeeper in the Premier League, and also in the English national team, and bypassing quite a few goalkeepers to get there. He's not the finished product. It's definitely a lot for a backup goalkeeper, but a lot of goalkeeping experts and people that have watched him over the years have said that he's quite good. He just needs some more work. So for me, my line and my flag in the sand is definitely the prices is quite a lot, but we were always going to bring in a backup goalkeeper. And so it just kind of is what it is. And maybe this is something that will push Leno, because I think Leno is the type of goalkeeper that if he's more comfortable, he tends to make more mistakes. He was really good right after Martinez left. He was much better when Martinez left, like right after, when he was talking smack and bumping his gums about being the number one goalkeeper. And then when he realized he didn't have to really worry about it anymore, I think his performance is kind of dipped, but Souls, are you still like, he's a bad goalkeeper and the price is too much? Or can you see maybe the reasonings why we're trying to bring him in? Like, you know what I mean?
No, I get it. He's 23. He's got a lot of development to do. I understand all of that. But my sort of main issue is, why are we buying another keeper who, in my opinion, has a problem playing, not a problem, but might be worse off playing out of the back? And it's just one of those where I'm a bit, why aren't we trying to solve that issue rather than just bringing in another keeper who fits the same profile as Leno? A brilliant shot stopper, a good goalkeeper in terms of just the keeping ability, but then the playing out at the back is still a risk. That's why, like, for me, it's like, I know it's February that we might see him, but I'd rather have an Onana come in or a Neto come in, due to the fact that they can play out the back. They're comfortable, being able to do that sort of system and play that sweeper keeper, if you want to call it that. And to be honest, I've always said it, I'm not bothered by the price as long as it doesn't affect other transfers, which it doesn't seem to be doing. So I'm not bothered by how much they're willing to pay or how far they'll go in terms of whether it pay 20 or 30 million. That's not my major concern. It's just, we seem to be filling a problem, but then still having the same problem. And that's why I'm a bit like, I don't really want to, unless he can improve that playing out the back. But we've never seen a keeper do that before, where they weren't so good and they became good. So that's my reservation. I think it's just, it doesn't excite me, but hey, it could be one of those.
I mean, a backup goalkeeper is never going to excite. You know what I mean? Like, I get what you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to be that signing where you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? So I completely get it, like 110%. I understand, like, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing? But at the same time, like, I've tried to do some, like, just take my emotions out of it and just say, like, okay, if it doesn't affect other signings, we know we need another number 2. They've identified him and he's younger, so I know there's opportunities for him to improve. Then maybe somebody who knows more about goalkeeping than I do, because I don't know shit. You know, I don't know anything about goalkeepers, really. I'm not an expert in it. So if they're saying that he's good, he just needs some more coaching. And I quite like Inaki. I do. I think he's a good goalkeeper coach. Maybe not at identifying. We don't want him looking at goalkeepers for us, but in terms of how he teaches goalkeepers to play. And he does like smaller goalkeepers. I did learn that about him. He likes more agile goalkeepers that can move around, that almost play like field players. So it is what it is. We'll see how it works out. I expect Ramsdale to be an Arsenal player. I really, really do. They're pushing for it. So it happens. And if it doesn't affect anything else, it'll be whatever. Like, you know, we'll see how it works. You know, we'll probably see him in a Carabao Cup, and we'll just deal with it when we actually see him. You know, what I will say is, if and when he becomes an Arsenal player, can we please be freaking nice to him? Can we just let all this go? Like, you know, because the last thing we need, I mean, the way people jumped on Akwanko, I was like, this is to see, you know, like he's like 20 years old. Like, goalkeepers are not good when they're young. You know what I mean? Like, even somebody who Arsenal fans tend to kiss their ass, like Meslier, like, he makes a shit ton of mistakes for Leeds. He does. He makes a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of them against us as well, you know, so let's just calm down. Let's just calm down just a little bit. You know, there's about 240 of you guys watching right now. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've made Sir Mason Mount a mod. Where are the Arsenal moderators? Where are they? What's happening? Oh, are you guys? Yeah, people are in Arsenal Brexit FC and full. You guys, honestly, if I'm honest, I think we need more British players in our team. I think you need a British core.
Well, we've signed one. And we're about to sign two. Come on,
FC, are we? You know what it is? It's like Ben White. Then we're looking at Madison. Can we not be more creative? Like, you know, and it's like, but it's not like Lakanga and Tavares are not, you know, they're not English. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just so funny. It's just so funny how we act. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, but you guys want to put in some questions? We got about 20 more minutes. Go ahead and drop your questions, please. Mr. Austin says the pundits hate our foreign players. I've always said that I thought we got some unfair shtick because we had a lot of foreign players, but we still always had a British core. It wasn't until like it got weird at a certain point because I don't think our academy was producing the way that it usually produces. And that's why we didn't have enough English players. But now we have our like ESR and Saka and Balogun and all these guys. So I think it'll even itself out. I think you need a healthy balance, especially in the Premier League, because the Premier League is tough. You know, and I think you need some English players that know the game, you know, to play in your team. You know, do you kind of agree with that, Sulz, that you think there needs to kind of be that healthy balance between foreign players and English players in the Premier League because of the way the league is kind of built?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's just modern day football. Really, it's sort of moving away from relying on your youth academy, but also by like and the thing is, if we bring foreign talent in that's of a good age, a good experience, and they've kind of shown what they can do, not only does that allow your youth players to come in and prosper, but it also kind of brings in a different dynamic. Because if everyone just played, let's say, their youth academy or whatever was the local talent or however you want to put it in, you won't see a dynamic league. You won't see different styles. The thing is, not every country can produce what you need in terms of midfielders or in terms of a striker. So those voids have to be filled somewhere else. So I'm not against it, nor am I for it. I'm just like, you know, you do what you need to do for your situation. If you've got someone in your academy, like for example, Bukayo Saka fills a lot of voids in the Arsenal team, ESR fills a void, I'm all for it. But if there's like a player, like for example, that isn't doing so well, then yeah, you go replace him, whether it's English or whether it's a foreign player. It doesn't really matter as long as it's pushing you forward. And I think that's just the way the game's moved. Even Barcelona don't rely on their youth academy anymore. They buy a lot more of their players. And I just think that's just the modern day football, really. And a balance is needed, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. You guys, I don't want to see any nonsense about Willian being good today. He would need to be good a lot for me to change
Oh
anything
yeah, I
about the
read
way
that. I
I
was
think
about to
about
laugh. I
him.
was like, no.
It's like Willian was good today. I'm like, he will never
He
get
was
me
good.
again.
He got an assist. But what else did he really do? Nothing.
Remember when he was good against Fulham? Do you guys remember when he was good against Fulham?
No, but that he was good. But today he was like, well, he got the assist, okay. But then what? Then what? Like, what did he do after that? Nothing.
I can't with that. So Sohan asks, just how likely out of 10 do you think we'll get Madison? Same question for you, Souls. So I would say conservatively a 6. I think that the interest is there between both parties. Well, not between Madison and Arsenal. I think Leicester are willing to sell. I think the deal is difficult because of the amount of money that Leicester will want up front. Not necessarily because of the amount of money, but the money that they're going to want up front. That's where it becomes a little bit more difficult. Do we have a player that we can maybe offer? Maybe, but do you see Leicester wanting Ainsley Maitland-Niles as a midfielder? Not based on this performance that I saw today. He's more likely to be a midfielder at Newcastle or Southampton. So I would say conservatively a 6. I still think it's far away, but I think it can get done mostly because there is interest from us and there's interest from Madison wanting to come to Arsenal. What do you think, Souls?
Yeah, I think a 6-7 was what I was thinking. Arteta, just don't play Maitland-Niles if you're going to use him in a trade deal because he is shit. He is not covering himself in any glory. You're going to have to pay the 60 million plus him because he's going to add 0 to the transfer fee. Like, it's just... The thing is, we need to... the problem is, Maitland-Niles as a right back, yes. As a midfielder, fam, go Sunday League because that's your level. Like, you're not good. You're not... Even championship teams are going to think twice before buying him if he wants to play midfield.
He's just not a midfielder. No. He's just not. Like, I'm sorry.
Every time he made a pass, I was like, why are you, like... I don't want to get cancelled, but like, are you colorblind or something? Do you not know what color you need to pass to? Every pass went to Millwall. Like, what are you doing? Are you feeling good? Are you like dizzy? Is the heat getting to you? I don't know what's happened to him, but he's not a midfielder. If like I said, if he wants to play midfield, just sell him. Like, get what you can.
Brutal.
Like,
I mean, it's true though. I mean, the thing is he's just too casual on the ball for me. Like, to play in midfield, you have to have your head on a swivel. You have to be, and the best midfielders are able to be this, but also look smooth, like Thomas. Like, he looks casual, but he's not. He's moving with intention. Ainsley is moving like he's having a nap. Like, he's on, he's just not it in midfield. So, I mean, Lukonga was so much better than it. I mean, Lukonga's a midfielder. You can see the difference. You know what I mean? Tony is asking who looks ready. Pepe and Partey look ready for the season to me. I already kind of went through my list. Emile Smith-Rowe, Pepe, Partey, Chambers, Tierney, they look good. Lacazette looks good. Those are the main people that look good. I would want to see more of Lukonga and Tavares before I'm like, yeah, they're ready to go. But I think the people that ended the season well look good now, to be honest. Lukonga was so good today, you guys. I'm going to overreact so much to this. I'm going to overreact so much. Yo-Yo asks, oh gosh, Bernardo Silva, Odegaard, Madison, one is clearly more different than the others. Yeah, we kind of talked about this in our group chat earlier today. And so Odegaard and Madison to me really mirror each other in terms of profile. I know that Madison likes the left half space and Odegaard likes the right. But ultimately what you get is a player that can kind of orchestrate in midfield. One scores more goals than the other, one assists more, but ultimately they mirror each other in the way that they play as almost like a traditional number 10. And against certain opposition, I think that they can play in the 8 role. Bernardo Silva is just not that. He's one of those kind of like, he can play as a forward, but most when he plays in the forward line, he's more of a balancing midfielder type of player. He's really not like a wingery type of forward. He just kind of holds the stability of the front line. And he can also play as an 8, not a box-to-box, but just like an 8. He's not a 10. He's not a 6. He's not anything like what we need. So I don't really get – I know that he's a Manchester City player, so yeah, of course, we'd want a player of that quality, but the profile has to make sense. And besides the fact that I think that there's no chance in hell that we bring him in, I just don't really understand profile wise why we would want to bring him in when we don't need anybody in our forward line as a balancer. We don't actually need that. We have enough forwards. But as an 8, I don't really see how he fits in with our midfielder when midfield when right now we don't play really with a midfield 3. We play more with like 2 holding and a 10. Like, so what are your thoughts on the Bernardo Silva links, and let's just rubbish him now? I just can't.
Yeah, no, it's the profile that doesn't make sense. The player himself, I do rate him. I think he's a quality player, but he just doesn't fit in the way we want to play. And I don't think he fits at City either, because we don't see him play a lot. And there's a reason to it, because it's not he's a strange player, because he suits a specific sort of system, and that's just unfortunately not at City, nor is it at Arsenal. And I don't look, he's got the qualities of an 8, like he could do a job, but it's just, do I want to take a risk on a player that we've never really seen play that position before? Not really, especially with the fee they'll probably demand. I'd rather put the extra in, or put the same amount in a Maddison, which we know has played a 4-3-3, and he's played in a number 10 role before for England, for Leicester, and then obviously previously to that as well. So it's a less riskier option, but plus we know Maddison will press a lot more in midfield. Odegaard, we've seen what he can do. I still rate the talent. I just don't know how ready because he didn't seem ready. I don't know whether he still needs an adaptation period to come in and play in the Premier League. But my priority would be all out for Maddison. If that doesn't work, then Hassan Mawar is always there. I just don't. With the other two, they'll be like last resort.
So this is interesting from Snowbuzz GSW. They say, honestly, I don't think we'll be able to get Maddison. I think we'll probably get Awa and Neves. What's interesting about that is I never really thought about that. Do you think that maybe the fee for Maddison is so high that if we were to bring him in, he would be the only midfielder that we bring in? Because Awa plus Neves essentially equals Maddison in terms of fees. You get Neves for 35, you get Awa for 25, or you get Maddison for 60 to 70 million. If you think about it that way, then Lokonga could be somebody that starts, or God forbid, El Neni is starting and playing games for Arsenal next season. So, I mean, you think about it that way, I'm not sure, but like 100%. But like, if you really think about it, Maddison, Neves, White, that's a lot of hefty fees. I'm not sure if we actually have that, especially if Leicester, which they will, want a lot of that up front. You think about it that way, it almost might be better to get Awa and Neves, even though that may not be perfect. What do you think about that? Like, if you had to choose between going all out on Maddison and potentially only then having to start Lokonga or El Neni next season in midfield, or would you rather go for Awa and Neves to just kind of spread the resources around, even though Awa, I mean, I guess at that point you could play a midfield 3. You really could with Awa, Neves, and Partey, and then play Emile Smith-Rowe off of the left. But is that really what you want to do?
That's so hard to answer, because Maddison.
That might be the reality. That might actually be the reality.
But you know what it is, though? Actually, I'm going to change the scenario, because Awa and Basuma will cost the same as Maddison alone, because the evaluation was 35 million and Awa's apparently 25 million. So that, give or take, comes into that 60, 70 million pound range that we're looking to get Maddison in for anyway. So I don't, like I said, my only thing is, as long as we can get the players we need. So if, let's say, for example, Maddison is 70 million and that's it, then I don't want that to be the case. But if it's Maddison plus Basuma, then yeah, I'd be all for the Maddison deal. And that's the way my logic, and that's the way I've been with all the transfers. I don't mind White if it means we're still going to get our other targets. I don't mind, well, Lokonga didn't really cost us a lot anyway, and Tavares is the same. But I don't mind the Maddison deal as long as it doesn't affect, because I do think we need a partner more than we need anything at the moment. Even if, I know this is going to sound mad, but even if I think we can sacrifice the right back for at least till January if we needed to, and then maybe bring someone in January. I know that doesn't tend to happen, but we can take that gamble if needed. I think Chambers will be fine. And then obviously we know Tavares can play in that position. So we might be fine in that terms. And I'm willing to risk that if it means we can go get Maddison and Basuma in. But it's a hard one because we just don't. If it's Maddison and then basically a War and a party partner, I'd have to go for the latter. I'd have to go a War and bring a Basuma and Neves in.
You guys, I'm looking in the chat and like it's getting a little rough in there. Let's just banter is cool, but like let's just respect the stream. I know that, you know, this isn't, I don't care if you're a Chelsea fan or an Arsenal fan or whatever. Let's just make sure we're respecting each other and all that kind of stuff. Banter is cool, jokes are fine, but let's just not go overboard. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but you know, Chelsea fans also remember that this is an Arsenal stream, so you know you're gonna get you know, people are going to lash out. Just, you know, it's cool. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I do kind of agree with Sean as well that I don't think a loss is going to give a wall away for 25. I still think that but the only thing about that, Sean, is that somebody else has to be in for him, you know, because they are desperate to sell. They have to sell. So I think they want to drum up as much, you know, fuss about him as possible, try to get a bidding war going so that they can drive the price up. But the reality is if you have to sell and nobody else comes in for him and we offer you 20, you kind of got to take that. You can't just, you know, because they are desperate. That's the situation that we've been in the past, you know, that we've been in situations where, you know, we have to sell our players for less because we're desperate to get rid of them. That's the exact situation that they're in. So unless other people want him, then, and we offer 20, and they just, you know, they just have to kind of take it, you know. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think next week, we've been kind of saying that for a while. Next week is going to be the week where everything just becomes more clear, isn't it? You know, I think, I do for sure think we'll know who the midfielder is next week, you know, for sure.
I think that's the blessing of the American tour not happening because, and I wanted them to go to America because I feel like the fact that the American fans deserve it. I don't know what the situation was, like how many people are allowed in stadiums and stuff, but I do think they deserve to see Arsenal play because I've seen some of the things they do, like the Guna. What is it? I know in Orlando they do the Guna something. I can't remember what it's called, and they had deserved to see Arsenal play in the flesh. But the reason why I'm saying it's a blessing is because the window's coming to a close, and obviously we need to now get communicating with these clubs. It's going to allow Arteta and Edu to properly sit down, at least for this week, and really go over the plan and go, okay, Maddison's not, like, let's say if Edu turns around and goes, look, Maddison, or like that scenario, literally, Maddison, or do you want the two players? They can really sit down and now reevaluate their plan if they needed to, because Leicester are one of those clubs that once they ask for a fee, they want that fee. We've seen it with United. Even United couldn't bully them. They wanted 80 million for Maguire. They had to pay 80 million. They tried negotiating. They went in with 60. They were like, no. They went in with 70. They said no. And that transfer dragged out a lot. Leicester were like, look, we've asked for 80 million. Give us 80 million or basically piss off. Yeah. And that's what they're doing with Maddison. They're like, look, we've asked for, I think it's 60. Some people are saying 70. I'm not sure whether it's just a currency thing where some people are listing it with a different currency. That's why the fees are so all over the place. But it's believed to be more 60 million that they want. And, or if I'm guessing if they're interested in a player that might help us not have to pay more upfront. But it should give them a lot more focus. And I think this is going to be a very crucial week because the whole team's in London. There's no traveling. Obviously, we've got Chelsea in London for the Mines competition charity match thing. And then obviously we've got Spurs, which again is in London. So we should be good in that sense to just try and get all these or be in a position where we're aware of what we need to do.
Saida says Arsenal should prioritize fixing the midfield. Once this has been sorted out, strikers, forwards will thrive. That's why the Tammy links have annoyed me so much. But also, you guys, you have to remember that if we're in positions so if we know that there's maybe a chance for Lacazette to go, then if the club feels like they need a striker, they have to kind of sort that out and figure out who's there with the right profile and start talking to the club that he belongs to or the agent that represents him. So sometimes links come out and it's unfortunate because it doesn't feel like the right time. But, wouldn't it be worse if we got to the end of the window and Lacazette left and we couldn't identify a striker if we really needed one? So I think sometimes the links come out in order, in an order that makes them comfortable because it makes it feel like that's what we're prioritizing on. But we've been working on midfield, options. But I think because the midfield options are going to cost us the most, they'll take the longest amount of time. Whereas like backup goalkeeper might take less time because it's easier to do. So I wouldn't really take like the order in which we're hearing about rumors as that's the priorities that we're working on. And that if we're not hearing about things, that things aren't happening in the background. We're sitting here twiddling our thumbs, just waiting on news to come out, but they're working, they're working on it. So we'll see what happens, but we'll just leave it there. You guys, there's about 290 of you guys watching. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, we'll see what's going on tomorrow. Hopefully there's some news coming out, and I have a feeling something's going to happen on Monday. I'm hoping that something comes out on Monday. Oh, I'll be doing a Twitter Spaces with Hayland Arsenal, which is Jim Housen. We'll be doing a Twitter Spaces with the Euro expert, and some other people are going to be on there. This is so bad and so poor of me because I forgot who's going to be on there, but I'll be there.
I might be jumping on because I start my job on Monday. So if I'm home on time, I'll be on there as well. And I think it's a few, and that's the other thing. All the other people are literally in the same situation where they might be coming back from work, so they'll be jumping on.
It's like 7 p.m. UK time, so make sure you guys jump on there. We'll be talking about transfers again because that's all we can really talk about right now. So yeah, and you guys, next time that we come back, let's make sure we're nice to each other. We can all coexist. We know we don't love the Chelsea fans. They can be annoying, but let's just all love each other and just be nice. At the end of the day, it's just football, right? So talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all. Thank you.